So there's a saying, if you put a frog in boiling water, it would immediately jump out. But on the other hand,
If you heat the water very slowly, the frog will just sit there.
it stays there. It doesn't realize what is happening until it's too late. And that is what exactly happening to an entire generation right now. And that generation has a name, Gen Zs. And today we are going to talk about it.
Gen Z protesters call for change.
So, before we move any further, let's understand who exactly is the Gen Z. To simply put, people born between 1997 and 2012 are called the Generation Z. In India alone, that's 377 million people. That's 3 times the population of Japan. They are the first generation to grow up with the internet from day one. Not as this something discovered later in their lives, but which was always there, like electricity and like water. Now, here is what makes them different. They didn't just grow up with the internet, they watched the world fall apart through it. The 2008 recession, the demonetization, the COVID pandemic, the layoffs, the startups getting shut down overnight, they all saw this. Not as the adults who could process it, but as kids, teenagers who were still figuring out their lives. And then they entered the workforce. And this is exactly where the things got complicated. So, when the Gen Zs entered into the workforce, the complaint began. They don't want to work, they give up too easily, they want everything to be handed on their plates, and they can't handle the work pressure. Sounds familiar, right? And look, if you are from any older generations, I get it. I really do. But consider this. Socrates in 400 BC said the exact same thing. Let that sink in. Every single generation in human history has looked at the younger generations and said, these kids are going to ruin everything. Every single time. But every time they were wrong. So maybe, just maybe, the problem isn't generation. The problem might be the communication gap. The gap of understanding. And sometimes this gap might take few lives. Let's meet Anna Sebastian Perail. She was a 26-year-old chartered accountant from Kerala. She was topper of her class in her school and in her college. She got the CA with a distinction. Later, she joined EY Pune in March 2024. Her life was full of dreams and ambitions. What happened after 4 months was shocking. She was found dead. Her mother wrote a letter to EY saying Anna was overwhelmed with the workload there. Further, her father added, Anna frequently worked late into the nights. She didn't know how to say no because she was new there. She wanted to prove herself. When she complained it to her manager said, you can work late nights. That's all we do here. See, that was a culture. Interesting part in this case was nobody from EY actually attended her funeral. Anna was not lazy, she was not underprepared, but Anna was a Gen Z who did everything right. And the system called it an isolated incident. It wasn't. Let us understand why and how. Now here is the part nobody talks enough about. Because while everyone is busy complaining about Gen Zs, they are quietly changing the way the work actually works. You know what? They are the most tech savvy generations that has ever lived on this planet Earth. And the data says that around 75% of these Gen Zs are using AI to upskill themselves at the workplaces so that they can improve. They are also the first generation that Googles the company before joining it. Not just the salary, the reviews, the culture, what a former employee at Glassdoor is saying at 2 a.m. in the morning. These all things matter to them. Because for Gen Zs, a job is not just the paycheck. It is the reflection of themselves about who they are. And if the company's value don't match with them, no salary is high enough to make them stay. And you know what? In India, 7 out of 10 Gen Zs are planning to switch their job. And it's not about salary, it's about the work. And here is the interesting part. They are not running away from the work, but towards a better work. And companies that actually understood this, that they gave Gen Zs the basic respect, flexibility and the growth, saw people staying longer and show up harder for them. It's funny how this works. Give people a basic respect and they'll show up for you. That's interesting, right? So here is where we all land. Gen Zs are not the problem. They are actually the generation to point out at the problem and say, this is not okay. The 11 p.m. messages, the unpaid overtimes, the we are family here culture that disappears the moment the company want to cut the costs. Gen Zs did not invent these problems. These problems have ever lived in this society. But Gen Zs are the ones who have refused to pretend that everything is fine. And yes, they are burning out as well. 8 out of 10 Gen Zs are burning out before they are even 30. This is not because they are lazy or weak. This is because they have entered a system that is broken and nobody actually warned them. So yeah, that's pretty much the end of the video. I will leave you with one question. If the most educated, most connected generation in the Indian history or matter of fact world history is burning out, what does that tell us about the workplaces they walk into? Because this time the water is getting warmer and the frog knows it. Drop your thoughts in comment section below, whether you're a Gen Z who feels these things every day or from other generation who sees things differently. I want to know how you see the world or think about it. And yeah, see you in the next video. Bye bye.